Good evening and welcome to tonight's City of Burnside monthly council meeting on March the 18th, 2024. Please stand if you are able and remain silent through the acknowledgements. We acknowledge the land we meet on today is the traditional land of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the original custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still important to the Kaurna people today. And we welcome other First Nations people to our meeting. On behalf of the City of Burnside, I gratefully acknowledge and pay respect to all those who have sacrificed their lives for this country and its people. We also consider in our thoughts all those who today are being affected by war around the globe, and especially those in Ukraine and the Middle East. We seek guidance in our debate as we make decisions that will impact on the lives of all who reside, study, work in or visit the City of Burnside. Grant us wisdom as we serve our community. Please be seated. Just some reminders before we begin. Make your questions clear and succinct. Wait until I call you to speak according to the cue on my screen. And please turn off your microphone when you have finished speaking. This applies to the gallery as well. Please show respect for the speaker, whether they be councillors or deputies, by listening without disturbing that person's argument. So now to the agenda. We have 4 approved deputations, 1 that was not approved, a petition to be presented and important confidential items to consider. We have 2 apologies this evening, one from Councillor Zing and the other from Councillor Hubel. I will remind you closer to the time if there is anyone who is required to make a declaration of interest. So I now move to item number 8, page 5, which is confirmation of minutes, and I seek a mover. Councillor Henschke, you're moving it? Right, seconded by Councillor Hallett. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We have no adjourned business and there's no public question time, but we do have a number of presentations, deputations tonight, no presentations. And the deputies have been notified. And before I start on the deputations, I understand there are 3 related to the proposed budget bid, and I'm going to defer to the administration before we begin the first deputation related to the wheel park for some clarification.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, I've received, my name is Julia Grant, everyone, for those who don't know me. I've received some communication from some residents and it indicated to me there was some confusion regarding what a feasibility study was and what a concept plan was. So I thought it would be helpful if I asked Barry, who's the director responsible, to actually explain what the proposal that is before Council at the moment.
Thank you, Julia. To clarify the current position, Council has resolved to consider including funds in the 2025-26 annual business plan and budget to assess the feasibility for a wheel park at Linden Park Reserve. A feasibility study is a detailed assessment that evaluates the viability of a proposed project by considering factors such as site suitability, accessibility, environmental impacts and infrastructure needs. It will also respond to concerns raised by the community and will involve multiple hold points for council decision making and community consultation. The study would explore potential skate park sizes and configurations, necessary infrastructure, for example fencing, toilets, shelter, etc., traffic and road safety issues, and explore whether a road closure would be feasible or required or not. It will also assess environmental impacts, including tree protection and opportunities for additional plantings, as well as potential impacts on underground services and parking availability. Additionally, it will consider the anticipated use of the facility, benefits for residents and businesses, and historical aspects of the site. The feasibility study, once completed, will be presented back to Council, and if Council wishes to progress at that stage, concept designs will be developed to help visualise feasible options, and cost estimates for future stages, including detailed design and construction, will be provided. Throughout the process, Council will have several hold point opportunities to ensure informed decision making based on data and community feedback.
Thank you. I'll call upon the first deputy, and that is Leanne Landon, please, to come forward. And if you just press the speaker button once you've sat down. And then when you're ready, I've just said to say your name and the suburb you live in before you begin. Thank you.
Good evening, Your Worship and councillors. My name is Leanne Landon from Hazelwood Park. Our family has felt ourselves fortunate to live on Linden Avenue and nearby for nearly over 35 years. We too supported our children's interests and activities and regularly travelled significant distances to enable their participation in these activities, as many families do. Although our children enjoyed popular activities amongst young people, such as ice skating and horse riding, we didn't realise that we could have applied to the council to have these facilities built so they could walk from school. Upon hearing about the Will Park proposal via word of mouth, I have become increasingly interested in council activities and decision making. Comments have been made that the 5 to 17-year-old age group make up 17% of the population and young people's needs should be considered too. However, only a proportion of the 17% would use the skate park, and for Burnside Council to commit to a project for a small group I find difficult to accept. Although other councils do provide wheel parks, they do not have the beautiful parks and gardens that Burnside does, nor do they have all the facilities such as the free wading pool at Tusmore, reserves for hiking, a movie theatre or full-size swimming pool. Other councils are not duplicating all of Burnside's facilities. The population of Adelaide is simply not large enough to support every suburb having the same or similar facilities. If council wants to provide for the youth, why not consider a fresh idea, if and when the budget allows, and provide alternatives for those who would rather a different experience? It seems to be clear that there are many skate/wheel parks accessible. This age group is mobile and able to travel. I'm not sure why these facilities need to be within walking distance to nearby schools, given that the schools have a very large catchment area. Linden Park Primary School discourages children taking skateboards and scooters to school as they do not have storage facilities. Other schools may have as well. I will advise Council that some of the data you have used to base your decisions on is unreliable and I would consider invalid. A loop or lap can be recorded simply by running a hand in front of the sensor, and the sensor is easily accessible. Even a child can reach it. This is well known. How can data from a recording method so exposed to interference and false reading be used as part of the decision-making process? Why has there been no accurate data collected before consideration of any expenditure on this proposal, including a feasibility study? I believe a level of responsibility should apply to your methods of data collection and analysis. Therefore, Council has based its decision to spend $40,000 of ratepayers' hard-earned money to external consultants on a feasibility study based on casual observations and inaccurate data recordings. Along with many others, I consider it a waste of money and council resources, particularly given the current financial distress the council finds itself in. We concerned residents are trying desperately to advise you of the bad news story that awaits. It has been stated that the majority of residents are in the middle. I'm not sure how this data was gathered or if it was simply an assumption. Community feedback and outrage on at least 2 occasions has given you a snapshot of community sentiment. Road closures have been discussed by Council. This process must involve public gazetting and consultation. How do you think residents will react to this? Councillor Hubel, you correctly state that anecdotes and perspectives have been presented and Council has responsibility to make informed decisions. Previous reports and community consultation have informed Council of the unsuitability of this site. You have now been notified of new information, particularly in reference to data inaccuracies, and Council does have the responsibility to reconsider and make informed decisions before committing to a feasibility study. It is not acceptable to hide behind it's only a feasibility study.
Thank you very much. I have Councillor Harvey wishing to ask the first question.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming in this evening, Lee, and your very detailed presentation, which I know has probably taken you a while to prepare. I do have a couple of questions for you. Have you visited any skate parks outside of the Burnside Council area at all?
I have, not prior to this, learning about skate park, a skate park being proposed for Linden Avenue, but I've tried to educate myself on what it is. We've had children. What are we considering here? So I've looked at Ridge Park, I've looked at the one at Paradise, I've looked at two in the city, I've looked at a park in Sydney. In my experience, most of them are either below a road or above a road. I just don't see how a skate park can fit in that location. I'm not an expert, it's just an observation by an everyday person.
Thank you. My second question is, are you aware that residents are being accused of being provided misinformation, and have you been misinformed in any way? Do you believe this is true?
We have been accused of misinformation by a member of council. It's very distressing. It's so distressing. It's an attack on our reputation.
Of course.
We have not been provided with where this information is misleading, and is quite a serious allegation to make. I don't want to say too much more because it is so distressing.
Thank you.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Thank you, Leanne, for coming along tonight and for your interesting presentation. One of the points I'd like to pick up is the inaccuracy of the data that you have stated. I believe you live close to the reserve, and I'm just wondering if you could clarify more about how you feel that the data is inaccurate and is misleading us, which is potentially misleading to us.
Well, I've done a lap myself without a skateboard, a bike, any wheels. All I did was place my hand in front of the reader. Many other people have done that. If in, I don't know how long that took, maybe 2 seconds, maybe I could have done 1,000 laps. Maybe I could have done 10,000 laps. And actually, why was the counter not placed in a position where that was not able to be done?
Councillor Jones.
Hi Leanne, thank you for coming. Do you think that council needs to spend $40,000 to work out that this is a wholly unsuitable location for a skate park?
Definitely not. The residents are outraged that, I mean, has no one ever heard of that old saying, look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves? Are you not able to make a decision based on previous feasibility studies, based on data you're given? I mean, what more do you need?
Right, thank you very much for coming in. I'm going to now call upon the next deputy, Helen Smith.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, fellow councillors, CEO, and to my colleagues in the gallery. My name's Helen. I'm a resident in Hazelwood Park. I'm presenting this deputation tonight on behalf of Kelly Rossi, who lives in Kensington Gardens. She is an apology this evening, and I volunteered to present this deputation. These are her words, however, I support the sentiments. I'd like to reiterate that this is a deputation against the skate park, Will Park, feasibility study. I'd like to present this in 7 points, an introduction, followed by a summary and a conclusion. Thank you for your time. Once again, councillors, we find ourselves revisiting the idea of a skate park within the city of Burnside, despite repeated discussions in previous years. This concept continues to have support from only a small minority group, while other sporting groups, such as hockey, are completely overlooked. Neglect of other sporting needs. While the council considers a skate park, it is important to highlight the lack of facilities for other sports. Take, for example, the hockey community. Burnside families are forced to drive to Seacliff 3 times a week for training and games due to the absence of a hockey field within our council area. Why is this group and others like it consistently ignored in favour of a skate park that serves only a limited group of users? Point number 2, financial burden on ratepayers. The proposed feasibility study for this park will cost $40,000 of ratepayers' money, an amount that could be better allocated to projects that serve a broader segment of our community. There is no guarantee that this study will result in an approved project, meaning the council could waste $40,000 on a report that leads nowhere. With financial pressure on local governments and communities, this is an irresponsible use of our public funds. Point number 3, lack of revenue generation. I'd like you to consider this. Unlike structured sporting clubs that generate revenue through membership, through fees, field hire and events, a skate park provides no financial return to the council. This means ongoing maintenance and security costs will also fall on the shoulders of ratepayers, without any means of recouping any investment. A sports club or facility could at least generate income and sustain itself financially. I ask you to consider that. The next point, availability of existing skate parks in neighbouring councils. It is important to note that neighbouring councils have recently built and refurbished skate parks on the fringe of Burnside boundaries. Why is this not sufficient for the youth who want such a facility? I frequently drive past 3 skate parks and they often sit as empty concrete holes, rarely utilised and clearly not in high demand. Instead of constructing more underutilised skate parks, we should be encouraging the preservation of green open space which benefits our entire community. I ask you to consider. The next point, impact on local businesses and residents. The proposed location at Linden Avenue Reserve on the corner of Greenhill Road and Devereux Road is highly problematic. The development of a skate park at this site would result in the complete loss of the existing car park, directly harming small businesses that rely on this parking for their customers. Additionally, their proposed closure of Linden Avenue could cause further disruptions for residents and the businesses alike. 2 more points, I'll just speak quickly if I may. Environmental concerns. Another issue is the environmental impact of this proposal. It remains unclear how many trees will be removed or disturbed in this development. Given Burnside's commitment to environmental sustainability, it is unacceptable to sacrifice valuable green space for a project that lacks broad community support. The last point, social and safety concerns. A skate park brings additional concerns related to noise, graffiti and potential antisocial behaviour. Many residents are justifiably worried about increased noise level, vandalism and disturbances to their peaceful neighbourhoods. In conclusion, I ask you as elected members to consider the City of Burnside should not be spending $40,000 on a feasibility study that may not be approved and has limited community support. And just in conclusion, I urge you councils to reject the skate park feasibility study and instead direct funds towards projects that offer genuine community benefits. Thank you for your consideration. Kelly Rossi, in good faith. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You don't need to remain to answer because you aren't Kelly Rossi, so therefore you can't answer the question.
Excuse me, can I just thank Helen for coming in and
I did
reading
already thank.
that for Kelly Rossi on her behalf. She was very grateful for you to do that, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Now the next deputation is Damien Acatino in relation to the installation of a shade structure and associated budget for these inside the George Bolton Swimming Centre.
Thank you, everybody, for allowing me the time to present my case. And to the people on the left, thank you very much. Firstly, I'm going to list many reasons why I believe...
Sorry, you just had to state your name and...
Oh, sorry. Damien Acatino from Leabrook. Firstly, I'm going to list many reasons why I believe we should have a shade sail installed over the playground. Some are obvious reasons and some may not seem so obvious, but nevertheless just as important. Firstly, UV protection. Shade sails provide essential protection against harmful UV rays. Heat protection. They help lower temperatures in the play area, preventing surfaces like slides and swings from becoming too hot to touch. 3, prevents equipment fading and damage. Playground equipment lasts longer when protected from direct sunlight, reducing fading, warping and deterioration. Number 4, safety enhancement. A shaded play area reduces the likelihood of heat-related illnesses such as dehydration and heat stroke. Number 5, they're aesthetically appealing. Shade sails come in various colours and designs, enhancing the visual appeal of the playground and making it more inviting. Number 6, they're a cost-effective solution. Compared to the permanent structures, shade sails are an affordable way to provide sun protection while requiring minimal maintenance. Number 7, this is important too, debris protection. Besides sun protection, shade sails help shield the play area from light rain, falling leaves, branches and other nasties that fall from above, which help keep the area and equipment cleaner. As someone who lives under the canopies of 7 gum trees, I'm well aware of the mess that comes with it. And lastly, community wellbeing. A shaded playground creates a more comfortable space for families, encouraging social interaction and community engagement. Now, I've deliberately left community and wellbeing engagement as my final reason because it's very important to note that the George Bolton Swimming Centre is not only used by the residents of the Burnside Council, but from people from all over Adelaide that make the effort to drive here and enjoy just not the pool, but the beautiful Hazelwood Park. To have the playground fenced off creates great disappointment for not just the local families, but the families who come to the pool from outside our council boundaries. With several other council pools currently closed at the moment, our pool is being utilised more than usual. And to have the playground closed, especially during peak summertime, I think it's quite embarrassing for the council. I also think that the motion brought to the council meeting on September 17th of last year to remove the playground and plant a tree in its spot is ridiculous. And thank God common sense prevailed and the motion was lost. We need to encourage patronage by the pool by providing a safe play area adjacent to the toddlers pool, not discourage it by removing the equipment. My final point is about community feedback. As a chairman of the Friends of Hazelwood Park group, I've received many emails from frustrated families regarding the closure of the playground. As someone who frequents the park on a daily basis, I've heard dozens of complaints from both directly and indirectly from families who are miffed at the closure of the playground. So in closing, I would really like the council to strongly consider the installation of a shade sail, not only to address my above points, but this will also satisfy the council's legal obligation to manage the risk, but it also is just a basic common sense approach to a very fixable problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you for coming in. Have you been contacted by many pool users about this?
Yes.
How many around about?
30, 40?
Is this through Friends of Hazelwood Park or separate people?
Yeah, I've had emails through the group. I've had direct face-to-face conversations.
Has this situation affected you and your family at all?
No.
Right. Okay, thank you.
That's okay.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Thank you for coming along.
That's okay.
It's interesting, as the local ward councillor, I haven't had one complaint about this. And I appreciate your opinions tonight and voice in speaking out. I just wonder how many people there are in Friends of Hazelwood Park and what it does in terms of its role. Thanks.
There's about 230, 240 at the moment, and growing, hopefully. And what does it do? It's just a community group. We're aware of it. We're aware of what it does. Just promoting information about Hazelwood Park, basically. It's pretty simple.
Councillor Cornish.
Thanks for coming in. Just a quick question.
Yes.
I noticed a while ago that the local state member was promoting this petition. Do you know how many signatures were received by Jack Batty's office for this petition?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Not exactly.
Thanks.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Mayor. Did you campaign at the last election?
Yes.
I'm just trying to put a face to a name.
Excuse me, but that isn't relevant to you asking questions of the
Excuse
deputy.
me, I'm just putting a face to a name. Thank you. I'm just wondering why this has become such an issue now when the structure has been up for 7 years.
About 4, I think.
It's 7.
The playground. Has it?
Yes.
Well, it's only cordoned off for the last 6 months or so.
No, but I'm just wondering why it has become an issue for you now.
I am receiving verbally, via email, lots of complaints from families that aren't able to use the playground. That's
Okay.
why. It's pretty simple.
Thank you.
That's okay, you're welcome.
Councillor Henschke.
Good evening. Thank you very much
That's okay.
for your time tonight. And I just wanted to know, your group is very active and you're well aware of UV radiation risks and so forth. Has your group connected with? Has your group connected and is aware of KidSafe SA and the Cancer Council's UV audit for playgrounds? Because that's something you can. Yeah? Okay, all right. So KidSafe SA is an organisation that helps playground and provides a playground inspection service. So I was just wondering if you knew about that as a community. Yeah. But that's something if you may want to connect. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming in.
That's okay. Cheers. Done?
Now I'll call upon the next deputy, Mr. Cates, opposition to the skate park. You will find a photograph on your table that Mr. Cates has supplied.
Madam Mayor, councillors, my name is Greg Cates from Hazelwood Park. Once again, the issue of a skate park has raised its head despite having been rebuffed by the majority previously. Only this time the proposal is illogical and, as admitted by its proponents, a second-rate solution. The City of Burnside has many fine amenities: library, galleries, parks, playing fields, and Adelaide's most beautiful pool, which are used by hundreds if not thousands of patrons a year. The key difference between these and a skate park is that they can be largely used by residents of any age, whereas the skate park is aimed almost solely at teenagers, and then only at the limited number who may be interested. I know we raised 2 boys here, and neither they nor any of their friends ever expressed an interest in a skate park. So spending millions on this when council is in debt seems hardly justifiable. In terms of the Linden Avenue Reserve, I would suggest that the councillor check Google Maps, which will show that there are already 16 skate parks in the Adelaide metropolitan area, including 4 within 15 minutes of here. So it would be that users are hardly missing out. All of these 16 skate parks are located in a larger park, are larger than the available area at Linden Avenue, some more than twice the size, have had all overhanging trees and branches removed. The 2 large gums at Linden Avenue Reserve cover a third of the area proposed, and every smaller tree would likely need to be removed. Are open 24 hours a day, possibly okay in a park, but not very good with nearby homes. Have parking for at least a dozen cars, have nearby toilet and water facilities, and a number of them are floodlit at night, again not desirable near homes. Any proposal for Linden Avenue Reserve would satisfy none of these criteria. So unless the proponents have some kind of skate park geniuses, it will not work, and the $40,000 being spent on a feasibility study is a complete waste of time and money. This is hardly surprising that this location, it is hardly surprising this location is not even in the best 4 locations identified by council itself. If the council is convinced that Burnside needs a skate park, it is not merely responding to the agitations of a few, it should abandon this half-baked idea and revisit one of the 2 parks its own officers have identified as the best locations, and be prepared for the resultant voter fury. Or give up the whole idea, once and for all, in my view, much the better plan. Just as not all councils in Adelaide have pools, not all councils in Adelaide have skate parks or need them, including Burnside. Furthermore, it is not a myth that wheel parks are just an unimaginative dump of unsustained graffitied concrete. Just ask our neighbours at Campbelltown. They recently spent $3 million on a skate park at Paradise Reserve. Why? Because the existing one there was too small and not challenging enough for the older kids and too hard for the younger kids. And so it was effectively unused to the point where all it attracted was rubbish and graffiti, as per the picture that I've presented to you. So Campbelltown elected to build one that covered all levels and had flow zones and street and bowl areas, which they could do because they were in a nice big park. As the proponents themselves of this Linden Avenue idea assert, it would not be a significant or world-class facility. Therefore, it would be a small and lower-class facility, which leads to exactly the same issues at Campbelltown. After the novelty wears off, the older kids will move on to a more challenging and complete facility, leaving a derelict, unused eyesore at a prominent intersection in the city. Alternatively, if you make it so easy the younger kids can use it, then you haven't got much more than the existing rotating pump track, but at 15 or 20 times the cost, and the teenagers still won't come. Conversely, the humble existing car park requires minimal maintenance and is used every day. People park there to visit the local businesses. I assume council policy is to help, not hinder local business, or to take the bus into the city. I assume council policy is in favour of better patronage of public transport and less private journeys. Closing the car park will either force people to park in residential streets, crowding them out, or they will simply drive by. Additionally, closing the Linden Avenue entrance will force traffic onto other narrower and inappropriate access roads. I ask the council to reconsider the skate park feasibility study and not seek to justify shoehorning a second-rate skate park that the locals don't want and will not keep anybody happy. If you can't do it properly, don't do it at all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Greg, for coming in this evening and presenting us with your deputation. I just have a question for you. Greg, if a skate park does not go ahead, how else do you think we engage youth in Burnside?
Well, in lieu of a skate park, I would like to point out that if you take an arc from Goodwood Road all the way to Paynham Road and all the way from the parklands out to the hill space, there is not a single junior soccer club in that whole area. And so kids from this area are heading off to Campbelltown Soccer Club or Blue Eagle Soccer Club every year, trying to get into a team at every age level. And at every age level, they have twice the number of people applying for the team as they have spaces. So provision of some soccer fields, for example, would be a useful thing to do.
Councillor Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg, for coming along tonight. Can I just clarify with your handout, is that the Campbelltown Skate Park, the first version?
That is the previous version of the
and could I just,
skate
and
park.
can I just say, does that have lighting and all of that sort of facility around it when they're built? Just to give us a picture of what...
Well, I don't know whether that one did, but certainly the new skate park they put in its place definitely is lit until 11 p.m. every night. I'm sure when council debate this, they'll say, oh, no, we're not going to cut down any trees, we're not going to put any floodlights, no. But as soon as some child trips over a branch that's fallen from the tree in the dark, then it'll be, safety consultant and wringing of hands, speaking of liability and insurers' requirements, and next thing we know, trees are down and lights are up.
Councillor Dawes.
Thank you, Greg, for coming in. I think you said this will cost millions of dollars. I didn't quite catch what you said.
Yes.
Can you tell me where you got that information from?
Well, if it costs $3 million to build the park at Campbelltown, it's going to cost at least $1 million to build this one. Does anybody say different?
I thought you said millions.
Well,
you said $1
one,
million.
might be two. You know,
2 million.
Projects and construction always go up in cost, as council I'm sure is aware.
Thank you.
Councillor Harvey.
Greg, I just have one more question after looking at your very detailed photo here of the former Campbelltown skate park. And clearly you can see that there is a lot of graffiti on there, contrary to what we're always told, that, oh no, there won't be any graffiti on our skate park. Can you tell me, is there graffiti on the new skate park yet?
I couldn't say. I haven't been out there.
You haven't visited it?
At it. It's very new, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in. Thank you to all the deputies. Now, I did not approve a request by Mr Coop, again this meeting, in relation to his request for deputation. So we shall now move on, and we will move to petitions. Well, you didn't get your hand up. You didn't put your didn't press the button. We've moved on.
Really?
Yes.
We've gone on 5 seconds?
Yes, we have moved on. Excuse me? That language is not appropriate in the council chamber. Right, we have already moved petitions, and we are on page, just check the page number. So we've got it on here. Page 20. Councillor Cornish.
Thank you, Worship. I've submitted an alternative motion for this tonight.
Thank you for submitting it early.
Thank you. So I'm asking that number one, we receive the petition, and number two, that we endorse the installation of a shade structure and associated new capital budget of $37,000 to allow the toddlers' playground to be used at the start of the 25-26 summer season. So I'll speak to the motion. We've clearly received a petition. We had an issue that was an insurance issue where a child did get burnt on a hot playground. The insurers suggested that we needed to install some shade over that. We haven't done anything with it, so we've closed the playground off so that no one else would get burnt. We're clearly, the community has spoken and has asked us to install some shading over this playground so that children can play on the playground while they're in the swimming centre. I don't see that there's an issue with it, and I hope you support this motion to get this capital project up and going for next summer season of the pool.
Councillor Henschke, you seconding?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Do you wish to speak now?
Yes. Very simply, it's a critical piece of infrastructure, and it will minimise unnecessary exposure to UV radiation, and that creates a potential. It creates a potential to reduce the risk of skin cancer later in life for the children in the city of Burnside and those that visit our swimming pool. I implore you all to support this motion of Councillor Cornish. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes.
Yeah, a question for the CEO, please. It mentions a capital budget of $37,000. Now, going back to September of last year, I didn't think it was high as that. Can you give me an explanation what the $37,000 covers?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Dawes. I will have to defer to my colleague Barry Martin, for that answer.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, the September report last year did quote the figure of 37,000, and that was based upon 4 different quotations that we received from suppliers that provide shade structures. So based on their advice in terms of what was required, because of the height of the playground, 37,000 was the amount that would be required. Thank you.
Councillor Jones. Councillor Turnbull, you were next.
Oh, thank you. I was just wondering why, it's a question for the administration. You said 4 quotations. Is this the cheapest one? Because we never get to see other quotations. We just get presented with one figure. And 37,000 is a lot of money for a shade cloth. I can remember the last time it was brought up, I said, use my Bunnings card and go down and get it from there. It'd be much cheaper. I know that's ridiculous, it can't be happening, but 37,000 is also a ridiculous amount of money. I'd love to see the other quotes and see if we can do better.
Through the Mayor, thank you for your question, Councillor Turnbull. When councils and local government right across South Australia put up structures, and it's not just shade cloth, it's a shade structure, there are obvious standards that we must meet that are well and truly above beyond what we be putting in our backyards or in other places. So our standards and regarding engineering or whatever are far greater than what is just going to like Bunnings would be. So therefore, I would say that would be why the cost is what it is.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I remain opposed to this. I think it is totally ridiculous in a fully shaded playground and swimming centre, as we have got in a park that's full of trees, that we actually are even considering putting a shade cloth up, a shade structure. The playground was incidental, it's been upgraded, it's been there for 7 years. We have lots of other facilities in the swimming centre for children. They're certainly not deprived, they've got lots of playing space, and I think they would actually be better playing on the lawn if they're not swimming. And the other assertion that I find quite strange is that this would be protecting them from UV radiation. There's UV radiation all around the place because the pool isn't enclosed. So I think if we are really going to contain the risks and address the risks of UV radiation, we need to enclose the swimming centre. And we all know we've had that debate, and that's not acceptable to our community. So I would rather remove the playground and leave the area open space. People can use the lawns. I think we could plant a couple of extra trees and beautify the park. Hazelwood Park is actually a heritage park. It's not there for building infrastructure, and I think we've got quite enough infrastructure in the park at the moment. So I don't support this at all. Thanks.
Councillor Jones?
Yeah, not for the first time. We see a total abuse of the budget process. Councillor Cornish had ample opportunity to put a budget bid in for this project after it was knocked back last time. And it would then have been ranked with all the other projects, and we'd have said, is $37,000 a good use of ratepayers' money? The council staff built this program, this playground, without any exterior shade structure. They obviously thought that was perfectly adequate not that long ago. We've got one person burned and everyone's going around like chicken lick and thinking the sky's falling in. The staff won't do obvious things that were suggested last debate about this, like planting a shrub or a small trees to provide some shade, like having a hose that people can hose down the equipment before their children use it. No, you can't possibly do that. We'd need 7 staff to supervise it, plus traffic controllers. I mean, it's totally ludicrous. This is why stuff costs so much at council and why our ratepayers are going bunter about paying an average of $2,500 a year in rates and going up every year by more than inflation. We should just say no, no, no.
Councillor Harvey?
Thank you, Mayor. I read comments from residents on Burnside Council's Facebook page with the following comments being said. Seriously, overkill again? This is the most ridiculous thing I have read. Teach children and parents to check the playground area first. Put a sign up if you must. It is not always sunny and hot. As Councillor Davies said, there are many trees right near this playground equipment. Tiny, teeny tiny playground equipment. Parents must accept responsibility. Residents' words, not mine. Not sure how we survived. Residents' words, not mine. How did we survive childhood? And I wonder, how did we survive childhood? Is this going to now set a precedent for all our playgrounds that must have shade cloth over the playground? Absolute rubbish. Thank you.
Councillor Davey?
Thank you. I have a question. The petition has 374 valid signatures. Could I just clarify how many of those are Burnside residents, please?
No, it was an email from Matt, 200 and something.
No,
No,
you don't answer.
through.
Through the Mayor, there was 374 valid signatures. There was 159 of them were outside of the council area and 215 of them were within the council area.
Councillor Dawes?
Again to administration, through the CEO. I'm just trying to remember from September, the LGA Insurance Agency, whatever it's called, gave us a recommendation about the shade over the playground. Can someone just summarise that for us again?
Through the Mayor, while Martin is finding the specific thing, I have to say that dealing with risk and liability, that increasingly across councils, I understand people's sentiment, and certainly when many of us were growing up in the 70s and 80s and the 60s is a very different time. Liability in public spaces around shade, heat waves and all the additional incidences that are increasing as the climate changes, it is raising more risk and liability in how we provide our public services and amenity. So I will now pass on to Martin for the specific reference that you are asking for.
Thank you, Julia. The administration consulted with the LGA MLS, and we sought advice on the identified risk and council's liability if an injury was to occur. The LGA MLS advised the council with the following. We understand council has undertaken thermal testing of the George Bolton Swimming Centre playground and has identified that on days where the outside temperature is 30+ degrees, that surfaces of the playground equipment can increase significantly, creating the risk of serious burns injury to very young children. The play equipment has been installed without shade sails, despite its immediate proximity to the adjacent swimming pool, which itself features a shade sail structure. The obvious concern here is that a very young child could sustain a burns injury, especially in circumstances where they are likely to use the play equipment wearing only a bathing costume. That risk seems reasonably foreseeable. Whilst there would be a parental supervision argument in the event such an incident were to occur and a claim followed, but this is not going to negate the reputational damage council might suffer, especially if the media were to run a news story on a slow news week. We acknowledge the installation of shade sails can be cost prohibitive, but the unique location of this play equipment adjacent to a swimming pool would justify the expense of such an installation, especially if it means that young users of the swimming facility are kept reasonably safe by reducing the surface temperature of the play equipment on warm, hot days when they are most likely to be in attendance using the swimming facility.
Councillor Cornish, you have a question?
I do. While we've received this petition, has the council actually received any other feedback or complaints since we've roped off the playground?
I refer that to Mr Cooper.
Through the Mayor, yes, we have. The public was invited to provide comments through to Burnside at Burnside, and we have received 76 individual complaints or feedback that have been received. They are analysed as follows. So 38 of the 76, that's 50%, suggested that council should install a shade. 19 or 25% said that it was council parental discretion that should be used when using the playground. 6 said do not shut the playground down, that's 8%. 5 said to remove the playground, that's 6%. And 8 gave other feedback, which was 10%. So yes, we have received some, and 50% of it was in support of the shade.
Thank you.
Councillor Harvey, do you have a question?
Yes, I do, thank you. Is there anything in the pipeline to actually put shade cloth over the Wombat Waterhole playground in Hazelwood Park?
Through the Mayor, no, not at this stage. Thank you.
That park, that is totally shaded by trees, whereas this playground is not.
I have a second question, thank you.
All right.
How many playgrounds across Burnside have actually got shade cloth over them?
We'll need to take that on notice, Councillor Harvey. We don't have that number to hand.
Thank you.
Councillor Hallett.
I've just asked members to consider 4 things. Ask members to consider 4 things. In regard to the age of the children using that play equipment, they will be in bathers. Some of them will probably be naked. So I think that the issue about being more exposed than other playgrounds needs to be considered. children in other playgrounds will have more clothes on and less likelihood to get burnt on a slippery dip. There are now more significant law and risk management expectations of council, and while we might, those of us who grew up in the 50s, and there just is now a more and higher legal responsibilities that you have to adhere to, whether you like it or not. Because of climate change, we are going to have longer and periods of higher temperatures. And I think that, from my point of view, the people have spoken. There's clearly support for putting a shade over it, and we've had 374 signatures about it. So I think that needs to be taken into consideration.
Councillor Wilkins.
Thank you, Your Worship. I can actually say, in reference to shade sails over playgrounds, in Eastwood, when I first came onto council in 2003, we did have a shade sail over the playground completely in the rear yard, facing in the northern section of the garden, and it was replaced by 3 trees which don't and have the same amount of shade that the previous shade sail did have. And the shade sail was taken down by council and replaced with trees.
Councillor Jennings.
Thank you, excuse me. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we've got the best looking swimming pool in Adelaide. You know, Goodwood's reasonable, but we've got a beautiful swimming pool. And then we've got some playground equipment that's roped off and looks pretty average. Actually, average doesn't quite cut it. It looks gross. We've got a playground that kids who use this swimming pool will be looking, going, Mummy, Daddy, yeah, can I go and play? And it's fenced off. Yeah, so I'm happy to support this. Thank you.
Councillor Cornish, I'm going back to you.
Thank you, Worship. Oh, no, someone else has got the call. Oh, okay. I am on now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. I do hope you support this. It's obviously something that the community have asked for. $37,000, I know for some seems like a lot of money, but when you look at our finance report tonight, there are some capital projects that are completed that have made significant savings from that. So whether or not it comes out of this year's budget or next year's budget or gets spread over 2 years' budgets from little bits here and there, I really do think that this project is important for the children and for the health and safety and just basically a PR nightmare too if we have this thing closed for 2 years in a row, bunted off with yellow tape saying that it's too hot, you can't use it. So please support this motion and let's get some shade over this playground so that children can use it while they're swimming next year. Thank you.
I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is tied. Division's been. I will have the casting vote, and I will support it. I actually use the pool 3 times a week, and I have watched children being upset by not being able to play on the play equipment. I have watched 3-year-old birthday parties being halted almost because they can't go on the playground, because it's got a fence, galvanised fence all the way around it. So I do support this, and I have heard the conversations and watched the children over 3 years, over this summer. Right. Division's been called, yes. All those in favour? Councillor Henschke, Cornish, Hallett, Jennings, Dawes, and the Mayor. Sorry? Sorry, I've got to do the yes. Those against, Councillor Harvey, Councillor Davey, Councillor Wilkins, Councillor Jones, and Councillor Turnbull. Now we move to the reports. And the first report, Councillor Davey. You wish to withdraw it, I assume?
Withdraw it, thank you.
Finance end of the month report, Councillor Davey again.
Thank you.
Council Chamber reconfiguration, Councillor Turnbull. Mayor's activity report. I seek a mover. Councillor Dawes.
I'm moving.
Second, Councillor Cornish. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Chief Executive Officer's report. Councillor Davey.
Thank you.
Right, now we will go back to the first one, and the CEO, since it's been withdrawn, will be declaring and leaving the... I'll let you speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Given this is about me, I will declare a conflict of interest and leave the meeting.
I'll defer to you if you've got any questions.
Thank
Right,
you, Mayor.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. I move in accordance with the recommendation. The Council notes the minutes from the CEO Review Committee meeting held on 24th of February 2025, and 2, rescinds the 2024-2025 CEO KPIs to be used as a performance tool. There's an addition there, used as a performance tool, that I think that were to be used as a performance tool on the basis that no consultation has occurred with the new CEO as stipulated in the CEO Review Committee Terms of Reference and CEO Employment Contract. The minutes are as they stand. I think it's important at this stage that we put the skates on and develop a probation plan for the CEO. As she's now been with us nearly 8 weeks, so I think it's 7 weeks this week. We haven't yet undertaken the necessary consultation with her on this and anticipate that we can complete this at the CEO Review Committee meeting on the 31st of March. So hopefully you'll support this and we'll get on with the job of developing a plan and with her input. So this is an administrative motion, really. Thank you.
I seek a second. Councillor Harvey, do you wish to speak?
No, I'll reserve my right. Thank you.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Then Councillor Harvey, do you wish to say anything at all? Otherwise I'll go back to Councillor Davey.
No.
Councillor Davey? No, I don't. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. We'll just wait for our CEO to return. And it's Councillor Davey again. Page 33.
Sorry it was so short.
That's all right.
Thank you. I move in accordance with the recommendation, and I just had a question, if I may. Thank you. I haven't been able to ask for it out of session. It's about our outstanding rates on page 34, but paras 10 to 12. We've been hearing about the Section 184 process being implemented to resolve our debts in relation to these properties, and I just wondered when this is all happening and how much money that, is involved in this, so we can actually get this out of the way and recover the debts. Thank you.
Through the Mayor, that will all be subject to a report that's coming to Council where we'll detail that information for you. So that'll be the April meeting. So next month we'll have that information for you and the financial details built into that report.
Follow-up question? Yes. Why is it taking so long? And roughly what amount does it involve? Thanks. Since we're in the budget process.
Through the Mayor, we are just currently finalising that report. We've had to work with our debt collection agency to finalise a couple of matters, which is why the report has been deferred from tonight's meeting, where it was originally indicated to you it would be coming. The costs, there will actually be no cost to council, so any costs that are incurred, whether it be the appointment of legal fees, whether there's a auctioneer provided, etc., that will all be recoverable from the sale through the conveyancing process. So there's no actual cost to council of running this process.
Councillor Hallett? First of all, do you wish to second it?
No.
Second the motion?
Yeah, I'm happy to second.
All right, and then you can ask your question and speak later if you need to.
I want to know what a Section 184 action involves.
Through the Mayor, the section in the Act is referred to the sale of land for non-payment of rates. That doesn't necessarily mean that we automatically sell a property. There's a number of sets of steps that we need to go through before we get to that process. Obviously, there's notification to the owner. There's research into whether there's a mortgage on the property because we need to notify the mortgagor, and so that there's the option for them to actually pay the rates out on the behalf of the owner. In the case of two of the properties, I'm aware they're rented. Because they're commercial shops, and so subsequently we'll be able to explore the option of a rental order over those properties, in which case the rent will be paid to council until the rates are cleared and not to the landlord. So, as I said, there's quite a number of steps we need to go through. These will be detailed to you in the report that when it comes to council next month. Ultimately, yes, if we don't get full settlement of the rates that are outstanding, it will end up in an auction of the property at an advertised date.
Through the Mayor, I might just add, councillors, that we always get money. We get the rates owed to the council. It is just a timing issue. So obviously when there are bad outstanding debts, including rates, these get resolved either when the property is sold, and that may mean the occupant has passed away, or it's sold, and that is when we get the debt back to us. So it doesn't get resolved within, a financial year. It normally takes us time, but we're never out of pocket.
Councillor Davey, you have another question?
Just another question. Are these all deceased estates, or are these business decisions that people have made just to not pay their rates and save money?
Through the Mayor, I'm not entirely sure of the situation of deceased estates. I know, as I mentioned, two are commercial shops, one is vacant land and the other three are residential properties, one of which is definitely vacant. The owner isn't living in the property.
Councillor Wilkins?
Oh, my question was to staff. Through the CEO, I do presume that we are working with the ratepayers of those properties, doing everything we can to see that they are paying the rates to actually stay in those properties if they are residing in those properties.
Through the Mayor, they've certainly had quite a number of letters. They're just not responding. We would love to be able to chat to them about an opportunity to exercise their rights under the hardship policy or something like that. But when we're not actually getting any response to mail outs that we're sending, it's very difficult to have those conversations. One of the steps in the Section 184 process, if we do get to this stage, is that a notification is nailed to their front door or a sign is put in their front yard, and so subsequently that pretty much gets people's attention fairly quickly.
Supplementary, we don't actually make verbal contact to them by knocking on the door or anything like that. Can I just
through the Mayor, I think that is our first option is to try and contact and speak with people.
Yes.
Explain hardship policy.
Yes.
It's the very last in a long line of steps. And of course, if the property is vacant, we find it hard. We don't have contact details for people.
I'll go back to you, Councillor Davey. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Now I'm moving to 11.3, and it's page 43 of your documentation, and it's Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just wait for it to come up. This report arises from my motion on notice in late 2024.
First of all,
alternative motion.
Sorry, I was just about to say you need to, first of all, either speak to the motion or provide an alternative, but you got there as I was...
providing an alternative motion, I'm waiting for it to come.
That's fine, now we've got there.
Okay, I'll read it. Notes the feedback from council members... Hey, that's not it. That's the old one. Sorry, that's not the right one. I put one through Mr Spearman this afternoon. It's a different one. This is the original. Don't want it.
Just wait a moment.
I've got it here.
No, wait till it's on the screen. It's okay. It's got to find it. Perhaps you can read it out while we're trying to find it.
Might I have the
It's
same
quite
impact?
long. Well, read the first part. I assume it's got more than one clause.
Perhaps we can just sit and think lovely thoughts till it comes. There we go. Right. So that's the... Yep. Okay, I'd like to move an alternative motion, which is the second one, number 4. That Council defers the renewal of the sound system as part of the consideration of the 2026-27 budget, so as to relieve pressure on the 2025-26 budget and to coincide with the new council term. Number 2, that in the interim, low-cost or zero-cost measures be investigated and implemented with a view to improving the acoustic situation for hearing-impaired council members. These include, but are not necessarily limited to, the use of the central desk and microphone whenever council staff are called to provide information for meetings. Okay, I'm reading from the City of Burnside Disability Access and Inclusion Plan. It states, paragraph 2, Council has a leadership role in facilitating and encouraging improved physical access to community and privately owned facilities. The City of Burnside Disability Access and Inclusion Plan promotes equal rights for all in our community. It recognises our responsibility to support people with disabilities to access the same rights as everyone else in the community. So does our Disability Access and Inclusion Plan include council members? I have a hidden disability, that is a hearing loss, and in our meetings I'm regularly challenged to properly hear what's being said, also in workshops I might add. Last year I was directed to change my seat in the chamber without any consultation. This has placed me in an even more disadvantaged position where hearing is even more difficult for me. In particular, I cannot hear the directors when they answer questions and give information to meetings. Whilst the full upgrade of the chamber is currently beyond budget, I believe there are some helpful measures that could be taken at minimal or no cost. These include the use of the central desk and microphone whenever council staff are called to provide information to meetings. This was the previous practice and for some reason it was discontinued. It would be very helpful, and it was very interesting tonight that the deputations were so easy to hear because they're so close. And also with hearing, if you have a hearing disability, you need to look at somebody, actually look at their face, and it helps you to hear. Surprising, but it does. There also could be some trialling of member seating positions to locate those that best suit those who struggle with hearing. That would also be helpful. This report also stated that adjustments implemented in early December have reduced the sound issues significantly and no further concerns have been raised since. With respect, I note that there have been very few meetings during this time, it being the Christmas New Year break, that any further comment was pending from the presentation of the report. So with all the discussion about budget repair, it's obvious that deferring the installation of a new sound system until 2027 makes sense. But to cost of moving chairs out of the chamber, as costing $20,000 to $35,000 beggars belief. And as for it being a security risk to staff to move out into the chamber, that also beggars belief. All I'm asking is for admin and staff to make it easier for those with hidden disabilities of hearing to have the same access to information as everyone else. And referring to the member feedback, Councillor number 4 provided the ignorant anonymous feedback. This motion relates to hearing disability or impairment, and how do we know this is real? One day you could be in the position dealing with a hidden disability, be it hearing, sight, heart disease, autism, they're all hidden disabilities. I do hope you have a very caring reaction from your peers. Disabilities are not only defined to those with a physical disability, but those with disabilities that can't be seen, and there are many. All I'm asking for myself and anyone else with hidden disabilities, and hearing is one, for allowances to be made and changes implemented as cheaply as possible to allow us to be part of decision-making of this council. Thank you.
Seconder, please. Councillor Dawes.
Yes, I will second this. As you know, I have hearing aids, and I've had a hearing problem since grade 4. So I've kind of got used to it over the years. I must say I am hearing better. I think there's been, as Matt would indicate to us, there have been some changes made. You know, I'd love to have a hearing loop here, for instance, but that's going to cost a bit of money. But I'm sure we can still do a few different things. I do like Councillor Turnbull's idea of having the staff here to answer questions in front. But I did find that in our first term very, very good for me, because I could see their face. As Councillor Turnbull says, when you see someone talking and it's face to face, you can hear so much more. So I'm happy with supporting this motion, because I think there's still something we can do, but I do appreciate what's been done so far.
Councillor Hart.
Thank you, Mayor. I note on page 54 of the agenda, a council member number 4 has provided feedback asking the following: how do we know that this hearing disability or impairment is real? I find this remark extremely offensive and discriminatory. I can assure you, I for one, along with Councillor Turnbull and Councillor Dawes, have a hearing problem in this chamber. It is real, and as a result of COVID, so it's not by choice or listening to extremely loud music in my youth that my hearing has diminished. Maybe you need to look up that it has been a huge side effect for many people that have suffered with bad COVID. You need to be ashamed of yourself, and I cannot imagine anyone, myself or others, claiming they have a hearing disability or impairment if they haven't. What has this council become? With nasty and highly offensive accusations like this, I'm truly disgusted with this accusation. The audio in this chamber has to be better. There's 3 of us claiming a hearing impairment. If this comment was made in a real business workplace environment, it would be considered highly inappropriate and offensive and dealt with accordingly. It is an attack on people's rights for fairness and respect, and it is discrimination. I support this amendment and thank Councillor Turnbull for raising this issue and this problem we have with hearing in not only the chamber but also in workshops. Thank you. I will support the motion.
Councillor Howard.
Thank you. I support the motion as well in regard to staff coming forward and sitting at the presentation table when their report is to be considered. My experience of being involved with other councils is that staff were sat around the table with the elected members. So yeah, I actually agree with Councillor Turnbull that it would be a good idea to have people, staff, if it's their report, come and sit up at the table so that we can have face-to-face conversations. Thank you.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I endorse all the comments that have already been made. I thank Councillor Turnbull for her amendment. In terms of, and citing the Disability Action Plan is absolutely irrelevant. We should not have to declare any disability to be able to hear the debate in chamber, plus the answer to any questions or comments that we might have. I too have a hearing loss accrued from over the years, probably from going to rock concerts when I was young, but I also worked in industry for a long time as a health practitioner, so I think that might have been due to it in the past. And we really do need an improved acoustic system in the chamber. It's really quite dated, and I think we can do a lot better. I agree that with the sentiment that we actually relieve the pressure on the current budget, so defer upgrade of the sound system. I'm happy with that. But I think we need to, I'd certainly be helped by reports being presented or questions being answered at the deputation desk. I think that would help go a long way to helping when we've got questions from the management and staff about clarifications required in our in the reports. So I think that's one way to solve it and get around it, and hopefully we can have our system serviced or tweaked somewhat at a low cost to keep it going, so that for the next 18 months we can all hear each other in the chamber. We are actually making some important decisions around the table, and we do need to be able to hear what everybody's saying. Thank you.
Councillor Head.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question through you to the administration. I just wanted to clarify that the officer's recommendation references options to regarding the preferred layout of the chamber, but this motion is focused on sound systems. So the question is, what about this? All the work that was done about the layouts, how will that transpire? Thank you.
Through the Mayor, it's not wasted work, because in any case it's still planned subject to approval of future budgets for the 26-27 budget, that we'll be using that work and considering those layouts at the later date.
Councillor Davey, Councillor Turnbull, I'm going back to you.
Thank you. Well, don't throw your papers out, because if this one doesn't work, we'll be asking for those options. I'll be asking for them, so don't throw anything out. But my motion, I notice now, is a cost-free semi-solution to the challenges faced by those with hearing disabilities in this chamber. I ask for your compassion and understanding to alleviate the problem. If this simple but hopefully effective strategy doesn't work, I'll be moving motion, I think it was motion option 2, attachment 4 of the report, and that was a reconfiguration, and that will cost council. They're hard to believe it costs that much. It would be good if we can say with integrity that at Burnside Council we believe in and implement our Disability Access and Inclusion Plan. Not only do we believe in it, we actually activate it. So I ask for your support. Thank you.
Those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Next is 11.5, Chief Executive Officer's Report, and that's Councillor Davis. It is page 64.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move in accordance with the recommendation. And I just had a question. No. No, I don't have a question. I'll just move in accordance with the recommendation. Thanks.
Right, Councillor Hallett, do you wish to second?
I will second, and I have a question.
Okay.
On page 67, under the era water sales, I note that the City of Burnside, I'm not sure if I'm reading it right, that our take in February dropped, and I was surprised by that because I would have thought it would have increased given how hot it's been and for how long. So I'm just wondering why it dropped in February on over such a hot period.
Through the Mayor, I'll take that on notice to provide you an accurate response. It may come down to actual reporting time, actually, as opposed to usage time, but I'd like to actually check that and get back to you.
Questions, Councillor Hallett? Okay. Anyone else questions? Otherwise, I'll go back to Councillor Davey. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. I'm going to suggest, and it's up to the floor to determine whether it would be a good idea for us to have a break now, and then give time for to clear for the confidential, and then resume after 10 minutes.
Yeah, I move.
You're moving that way, Councillor
10-minute break.
Dawes. Seconded, Councillor Wilkins. All those in favour? Right, against? Carried. We will have a 10-minute break. That means we start again at 8:47. Right. Right, I'm recommencing the meeting at 8:38 p.m. And first of all, I'm just needing to go through, you have all received the copies of the answers to the questions on notice. There are no motions on notice and no urgent business for tonight. Confidential items, we have I need a motion. Councillor Cornish, you're always good at that.
I'm happy to move to go into motion, confidence.
I had pressed my buzzer for an amendment.
No, we have to go into confidential mode first, Councillor. Right, so.
Need a seconder.
Second